Good morning, Nate. How are you?
Hey, good. How's it going, Anthony?
Just another squirrel chasing nuts around God's green earth, trying to figure out how to make it all work. That's for sure.
Yeah,
All right. So, all of you folks out there in Facebook Live land, we have been conducting our deep dive series on project management platforms for restorers for the past couple weeks. Today, I have Nathan Link from Xcelerate with us to talk about, his background, everything that's fun and happy about that. So, why don't you go ahead and start and just tell us, what is Xcelerate?
sure. So, Xcelerate is job management for restoration contractors. It's focused primarily just on restorers. We started with mitigation and also reconstruction, but for mold remediation and bio cleanup, things like that, it's job management, project management for that type of a contractor.
Okay. And what's I happen to have some proximity to this. And so it's the self-directed question, but what, the origin story of Xcelerate,
Sure.
I think is pretty important and compelling. So I want to tee you up for that one.
Okay. So the origin story of Xcelerate is there was Rachel Stuart and Russ Palmer out of Titan Restoration. Some of you guys may be familiar with them. They were using Client Runner software, job management software, and they really liked it. That ended up going away. It got acquired, and then they had to make some switches. And it was in looking at the market that was out there for job management and also trying out what was available that there was some frustration in that process, primarily in how difficult it was to get everybody up and running. Like the ramp up, the weeks of training, all of that. There was a lot of pain in the switch. And so Xcelerate was kind of born out of that frustration and also focused on how can we make an easier onboarding process for restorers so that they, who already have a busy business, are able to transition into it, get up and running faster. And so I would say that was one of the primary drivers, is just getting a system that's easy to use and easy to jump into and train on out of the gate.
Nice. And then what is your role? In my mind, you and Xcelerate are synonymous. I can't remember a time when you weren't there. And so for me, I know that role has changed over time for sure. So if somebody asked me, I wouldn't even know what the hell you do anymore. So tell me what you do over there.
So I did start at Xcelerate before we had any customers, and I did sell the first account. So I sold Xcelerate early on, and then I helped basically onboard them, train them, get feedback, all of that, which helped understand the pitfalls of where our product was and where we needed to build, there were gaps, and just listening to the customer. That was where my kind of role started. Because I was listening to the customer, hearing feedback, understanding the gaps, then we had to transition that back to the development team. So I ended up moving more into the product side of it. And so at this point, I'm product management and focused on the development of the product. But, I wear a bunch of hats still. We're still, I communicate regularly with our customers and kind of account manage as well.
Isn't the product already developed?
It is, but to think that anything static in this industry in software is just not the way it works.
No, I know, and I joke, man, because that's that is probably the one reason why I never when I was walking through my transition and I explored software, I was like, wait, so you're never done?
No,
there's never a sense of accomplishment.
You are not finished. There's always more, and so it ends up being, how do you prioritize the inevitable large list of things that we're trying to do to help the customers and pick the right ones.
Awesome. How did you get started in the industry?
Great question. So I was working actually in a military base in finance. So very, very different industry. Yeah, that's what I was doing early 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
And I got a contact who worked at a service master, and they needed some help in their accounting department. So I basically jumped into a service master. And one of the things they were doing as soon as I got there was rolling out a job management software from their old one. So they had an old one. They were trying to migrate their whole team, and it was a fairly large franchise. And so I ended up kind of taking point on that. And it took about 6 months to a year. Also, another one of those pain points. It was an extremely painful transition. And I was the person who kind of had to learn that whole system and learn the whole process of migrating and all of that. So then I worked at that service master for about 5 years and ended up doing operations management there. So managing the team, both on kind of the technician side as well as the office. And but I was more primarily focused with the software and technology side of it. I met Rachel. She was obviously starting this, and it seemed like a great fit, and it seemed like a lot of fun for me. So that's how it all came about.
And how many years has it been?
So it's been actually 5 years at Xcelerate now as well.
Wow. Remember COVID?
Yeah.
That feels like forever ago.
COVID came actually a year in, and then, we blew through that too. So
why do you stay in restoration? And I ask that question selfishly because sometimes I wonder why I do it.
I mean, for me personally, it's all the people that I've met. I mean, there's a lot of great people in the industry, and I like the connections and all of the camaraderie. So for me, that's a big thing. And there's a ton of opportunity. I think I have a technology background. I'm very tech focused. I think in this industry, that's one of the biggest struggles is trying to get technology with the industry and make it work, not have it fight against each other. And so to me, I think I see an opportunity to help solve that.
Right on. So moving on to Xcelerate, what makes, the landscape of project management platforms, CRMs, whatever the hell you guys want to call each other, come up with a new acronym already, continues to evolve and change very rapidly, right? And this is one of the reasons why we're doing the deep dive series is because we're fielding a lot of questions from our members about what they should do to improve their tech stack, so to speak, because it's never just one solution. It's usually a bunch of different solutions put together. What makes Xcelerate unique in the world of restoration project management?
Once again, good question. So I'd say with Xcelerate, what makes it unique is we do the thing I already mentioned, which is the ease of use. I think the system was designed to be user-friendly for technicians and for the office. So both web and mobile. The interfaces and the way that it works, it's meant to not require a ton of training, and you can get a ton of value out of it. So that I think is a big first part of it. But then I'd say that the second big driver would be that we're very open on integrations, and we are focused on integrating with anybody who it makes sense. And so because of the fact that the technological landscape is fragmented, having a very open way to communicate with all the systems you are using is going to make the system that much more powerful. And so you can basically have a hub that is connected to all the things that you're already utilizing. And so that, I think philosophically, that's where we're trying to be, the hub that's connected to the things that you use. Now, we're not fully there, but that is where our position is, and that's where we'd like to go deeper.
Got it. And real quick, since you brought up integrations,
sure,
you opened the door. I didn't touch
it.
Yeah. Top 3 integrations you see your customer base using and why?
So the first integration that we built would have been Encircle. And so actually that was a big part of the platform's early success, was that we had a lot of Encircle users jump on, and people who need moisture readings, that has been a big part of it. And then there's photos and reports and all of that. So
Mhm.
I'd say our integration with Encircle is actually the best in the industry. I'd say it's the best, simply because we have focused on that as a primary driver. So if there's somebody who's really attached to Encircle, they like Encircle, they're not switching to something else, I'd say that's a huge one. But we've got, QuickBooks would be another one. And so we've done a lot of work and research on getting both the QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online integration to be very, very powerful, very strong, and have good reporting and accounting workflows behind that. So QuickBooks would probably be the second primary one. Then I would say Zapier would probably be the third. I think we were the first in the industry to have a Zapier integration for job management. A lot of people followed suit afterwards. When we were doing it, a lot of people thought we were crazy. They didn't really see the value of it. And now a lot of companies in the industry are saying, hey, we have that too. So, first to market for those things, I'd say those three would be probably the top ones that our customers are using today.
Awesome. So, kind of moving a little deeper, what makes a good Xcelerate customer, right? Like and I'll preface this with saying, look, there's a variety of different solutions to meet a variety of different customer needs in the world of restoration project management. Who makes a good Xcelerate customer?
Excellent question. So I would say a good customer profile for us would be somebody who is wanting to digitize their process. So I'd say if you are still trying to keep a paper workflow, you're trying to still do paper timesheets, things like that. It's not probably the easiest system to, let's say, key in all of your time manually in an electronic way. We would have time tracking to have it done digitally. So a company who's more trying to become technologically advanced, let's say, trying to get documents signed, trying to get notes documented electronically, trying to do a better job of documentation. So I would say definitely more technologically inclined, especially if you're looking to integrate and automate. So that's going to be the best fit, is somebody who actually wants to do some of that customization and workflows and automations. You're going to get the most out of it. You can use the system out of the box without connecting it with anything else. But I think you're going to be missing some of that value because you're just kind of using it as a one size fits all system.
Got it. And then kind of the inverse question, like, who makes a horrible customer for Xcelerate? Like, look, in fairness, we are usually more defined by what we choose not to do than the things that we choose to do, right? And so what customers are you like, look, they just generically do not find success on our platform?
So, we've experimented and had a lot of people try using our software who weren't great fits. One great example is roofers. We had roofers using our system. And there's just, it's a slight different, not even slight, it's a pretty significant different industry there. The softwares that they're using. So that would be one example. Then, there's also there's some public adjusters who've tried it out for their uses, and some marginal success, not quite as perfect fit, let's say. I'd also say, just in a more generic sense, one of the things that we've had a little bit more pain with, which we've been working on, is a super small, like, mom and pop shop who just started. Since this platform was built for kind of field and office, there's a lot more built out that they just don't need. We are looking to address that so that we can kind of pull back some of the complexity that would be there because of this field and office, and allow somebody who's an owner operator who's just in the truck to use Xcelerate and still get a ton of value, but not have to have all of the scheduling and time tracking and things that just don't make sense for them, since they're so small at this point, and then it can grow with them. So I would say I think we will have that better solved. But that has been kind of more marginally not ideal customer over the past couple of years.
Got it. And that makes sense. So among those top performing customers you have, like what features do you see them leveraging within Xcelerate? And like overall, why do you think they're finding success?
So I would say we have our forms in our system, which allow you to sign documents, but they also are a selection, and they create basically a standard workflow. And so the forms themselves are basically just a note that goes into the job. But because of the fact that there's these selections that are made by a field technician, you can actually communicate and send notifications, email different parties, and actually automate the work itself. What it cuts out is manual phone calls, text messages, and things, just internal communications that otherwise are friction. I would say that is probably one of the biggest drivers, is just our forms that can be connected and integrated with all of these other platforms that you're using, such as email, Slack messaging, Teams messaging, those things.
So give me like a common use case, just so I understand.
So we got a form that's basically a daily note. A tech goes out to a job. They're going to write out their daily note, and it says, I did A, B, and C. It's pretty easy for them to fill this out. But one of the questions is, do you need to come back to it tomorrow? Or when do you need to come back to it? They say yes. And then it's, did you schedule it with the customer yet? Yes. Okay. And so they're putting in certain things. All of it's customizable by the business and the way that the business would want the technician to fill this out. As soon as they click submit, it can either create the calendar appointment, or it can notify the person who's going to put it on the calendar, or it can really queue up a list of tasks for the person who needs to do it. Another example might be, it's a new loss. We ran into contents. We need about this much contents moved by some people. Now this, specific message gets sent to the contents team, and they can dispatch off of it. They don't need to know everything that tech did, but they just need to know what they need to take action on. And it's only going to be in the situation that the tech says contents are needed to be manipulated here. So conditional, and it really cuts out noise.
Wow. Sounds super robust.
Yeah, it's definitely been powerful. And, thousands and thousands of unnecessary texts are sent by these companies who aren't using something like this. So it makes it quieter.
Awesome. What questions do you have for me?
Oh, good. I don't know. I mean, I guess, how are things going with Pivot?
Great. So it was funny. We just published our member progress report for 2023. I've got something queued up. So if you're out in Facebook land, you're like, Anthony, I didn't see it yet. Like, dude, hang on, it's coming. But what was interesting for us, so the member progress report is the average increase amongst all of our members in leads, revenue, and operating profit from the day they joined Pivot to the end of 2023. And our 2022 progress report indicated a 300% increase in operating profits as an average for all of our members, right? And so we have some top performing members that did way better than the average. And, but most of our members did some increase to their operating profit. It may not have been 300%, but that was the average. So on average, they tripled their profits. In 2023, that number went up to 520%.
Wow.
And it's because of our focus on building business systems, right? Like we firmly believe that if you want to optimize your organization, the way to do so is to have strong, robust, repeatable business systems. Because then you have a business that can operate agnostic of the individuals in the business. And so, yes, position changes, those types of things are always problematic for a business. But the risk you eliminate when one of those individuals decides to go on to a better opportunity, hopefully, is you don't lose the institutional knowledge upon their exit, right? You can hire somebody who has a skill set, drop them into that role. And because you have the business systems in place, you have more continuity.
Sure.
Yeah. And so that's the kind of the one thing I can't stop thinking about today is like I have not done a deep dive on the data to really understand what drove that increase, but I'm really excited because you and I, we're a little bit kindred spirits in the fact that we're kind of nerdy and we enjoy the data a little bit. And so,
oh, I definitely like a spreadsheet. So
yeah. I my wife got me the Excel coffee mug. Have you seen the Excel one where it has an Excel sheet on it and it says, "I'm a freak in the sheets."
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I might need to pick that up.
I'm definitely freaky in the sheets. That's for sure. Well, cool, man. Any closing thoughts for us today?
I don't know. I mean, I'd say for if you're a restorer and what we spoke about sounds interesting, I'd love to show you guys what those forms are all about. But yeah, I think we are having a call tomorrow to go a deeper dive. So definitely show up for that, and we can actually demo and show the software. And you guys can, if you guys have questions or want to see a little bit more, that would be a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah. And so deep dive tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern time for Pivot members only. Show up, log on, pester Nate with all your questions. He'll act like he's not having a good time, but secretly he enjoys it. So we'll hope to see you there. Thanks again, Nate, for your time. And
absolutely. Thank you, Anthony. Have a good one.
Bye.